Today, a brand new Star Wars Anthology anime series called Star Wars Visions premiered on Disney+. Now, I'm not really a big anime fan, mostly because it's really hard to find true anime, meaning anime from Japan as opposed to American anime, that's actually appropriate, because from what I found, a lot of it tends to be overly violent, overly sexual, so I tend to kind of stay away from it, so I'm not that familiar with Japanese anime. But I do enjoy Avatar: The Last Airbender, as well as the 2003 Clone Wars micro-series from Genndy Tartakovsky. And in some ways, that's kind of what this feels like. It feels like longer versions of the 2003 Clone Wars anime. It also kind of reminded me of the Batman movie Gotham Knight, where, much like this, it was a collection of different animators' Batman stories, some of which were very out there. I'm going to give my quick thoughts on each individual short, and then my overall thoughts on the series. So the first episode, titled The Duel, was actually a very strong way to start off the series. It has the style of a grainy black and white samurai movie, which worked very well, especially because George Lucas has said that a lot of Star Wars was inspired by samurai films, so it feels like an homage to that. I also really enjoyed the different designs of the stormtroopers, the Jedi, and the Sith, where they're familiar enough you can tell what they are, but it's also clearly set in feudal Japan, albeit with space technology. I thought the twist ending of this episode was really awesome. It was well concealed and it blew my mind. Now, the second episode, titled Tatooine Rhapsody, was alright. Maybe because episode 1 was so strong and so exciting, this one felt like a bit of a step backwards. There weren't really a lot of high stakes. I enjoyed the chibi style, and I enjoyed seeing Boba Fett, and I just thought it was a cute little episode, but it was just cute. Nothing more. The third episode, titled The Twins, was amazing. It had the Dragon Ball Z style, especially in the action scenes, and it had a very compelling story about two Sith twins, one of whom turns to the light side while the other chooses to stay on the dark side, and the light one tries to call the dark one back to the light. It was sort of like if Leia had joined the dark side and Luke had to turn her back. Very well done, fantastic episode. The fourth episode, titled The Village Bride, I don't really have much to say about. It wasn't as interesting to me, and a big problem with that was it relied on a tell-don't-show method, so I felt like I was getting all this backstory and world building through dialogue as opposed to it just being shown. This one didn't really hold my interest as much. The fifth episode, titled The Ninth Jedi, I mostly enjoyed. It had a fun plot that explained the mythology of the lightsaber really well, had a great twist, and had some deep cuts for Star Wars fans. But unlike the other episodes in the series, this doesn't feel self-contained, as it doesn't really have a conclusion. It just felt like a build-up to a part 2, which was kind of unsatisfying. And also, one of the main characters is named Ethan, which kind of feels out of place as a Star Wars name, so that was kind of weird. Moving on to episode 6, TOB1. I thought this was a cute episode, and it reminded me of Astro Boy and My Life as a Teenage Robot with both its animation style and character designs. I also love seeing an Inquisitor as the main villain for the episode. However, the main character's story arc is exactly the same as Luke Skywalker's. He lives on a farm, wants to be a Jedi, he's taught the ways of the Force, his mentor is killed by the Sith Lord, he sees the ghost of his mentor, fights the Sith Lord, wins. It's the exact same character journey as Luke Skywalker in the first episode. Episode 7, The Elder. The main character is named Dan. Again, they went with a very basic name that feels very out of place in Star Wars, but the animation in this one was gorgeous and had a very realistic look to it. Unfortunately, all of the effort was put into the animation, because the voice acting in this one was very monotone. The Padawan and Master had good dialogue, and it had a good script, and they could have had a great dynamic, but their line delivery is so monotone. They sound so bored, like they don't care. Like, there's a part where the Padawan is fighting the Sith, and he goes, "No, run." Like, your Padawan's about to be killed, and you're just like, "No, run." Like, you both sound like robots. And it's their dialogue is very good, and there's a lot of great ideas about power and abuse of power, but all of those ideas are lost because the line delivery is so we don't care. The villain voice actor was the only one who had any fun because he really goes all the way with it, but the two main characters just, they deliver their lines so wooden. Episode 8, Lop and Oko. This one was very creative because our main character is a rabbit, which hasn't really been done in Star Wars before. Kind of like Usagi Yojimbo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's kind of what they went with this. And that was a really creative way to go about it. This also has very beautiful animation, and the villain looked very creepy. And it had a great story with well-done, rich character development. But unfortunately, just like episode 5, there isn't really a conclusion to this one. It leaves you wondering what could happen next. Which, if the show doesn't continue on with these stories, that's kind of useless. And finally, the last episode, episode 9, Akakuri. And I'm sorry, this episode just wasn't very interesting. It didn't really click with me. The villain's motivations were very cliche. Join me, give in to the dark side, give in to your hate. Like, how many times have we seen this? Like, every movie. And the main character of the episode joins the dark side for the exact reason Anakin does. Because he was in love with somebody and he wanted to save them. And he thought the dark side would give him the power to save them. And he ends up joining the dark side. It just feels like a shorter version of Revenge of the Sith. And it just rehashed and reused too many ideas that we've seen already. So that was a little weak. But overall, I enjoyed this series, even though the episodes were a little hit or miss. But I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, especially because I don't gravitate towards anime a lot. But I found myself enjoying most of this show, and I would recommend it. If you're a Star Wars fan, if you're an anime fan, if you just want to see something that's a little wildly different from Star Wars, even if some of it is a little hit or miss, I would say check this out. Overall, I would give the series Star Wars Visions a B, an 8 out of 10, and a 4 out of 5 stars.